Okay.
Yeah, now not every street applies for that, but
It's just supposed to start,
yeah, that's typically.
Turn
Oh.
anytime.
I got it wrong. I thought it was okay. The informal meeting of City Commission is called to order. Clerk will call the roll.
Dr. Estrop,
Here.
Mr. O'Neill,
Here.
Ms. Phillips. Here. Mr. Rue, Mr. Copeland.
Here. Mr. Manager.
Yes, Commissioners, we have one work session item tonight, and with us is Greta Mayer and Wendy Doolittle. I'll ask them if they want to come up to the table, but they will talk about the implementation plans for the Department of Justice grant, as well as the memorandum of understanding with community partners that is involved with this program. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Wendy and Greta.
So much, city staff. This is the second time that we've come before you with this exciting.
Greta, can you pull the mic down more?
better?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Thank you. I'll just
That'll
start
help
again.
us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Estrop. So this is our second time coming before you, and we're thrilled about the partnership. This is truly a city and county partnership, as well as with a nonprofit who provides excellent substance use treatment and prevention care. So this is bringing more services to residents of Clark County and residents of the jail. And so we wanted to share a little bit about the formalization of the partnership, and we appreciate the city prosecutor taking a look at this agreement, and that's what's coming before you today to authorize and legislate this memorandum of understanding. So just a little bit about the partnership. This is a federal grant with the Bureau of Justice, and the city was an applicant in partnership with Mental Health Recovery Board and McKinley Hall. And we, again, partnered between the city and the county to draw down federal dollars for evidence-based programs to help individuals, women and men, residents of the jail, while incarcerated, getting more treatment and better care, and then greater access to those recovery supportive housing supports after jail. So again, this partnership, the city was the applicant and is fiscal agent. Mental Health Recovery Board is the administrative agent. And then we contract with a nonprofit provider, McKinley Hall, to implement and deliver those care services to individuals. So Wendy, would you like those?
Sure. Thank you for having us. We are excited about this particular grant because we've been able to provide services to men in the Clark County Jail and transition them into outpatient services, but we haven't had the opportunity or the resources to kind of match that for women. So that's what this grant does. It allows us to go in the jail, do intensive services there with the women. There's also a medication piece that allows us to start medication-assisted treatment with them while they're in the jail, and then we help them transition out. That could be into our recovery housing, which is always nice. It's 24-hour staff. There's intensive treatment services once they're out, and then we're also able to wrap case management services around them. So it just kind of preps people before they leave the jail to kind of get their mind focused on improving their life circumstances and learning some recovery skills. And then, of course, continuing that process once they're out. This will also fit nicely with the new drug court at municipal court. So, yeah, we are excited. We're ready to do this. We're trying to get staff in place now. And this grant is for 3 years. One other piece of this grant is with Pinnacle. They are a methadone clinic, and it's the only one we have in town. So they're going to provide a certified recovery house for 5 women that may choose that route of care for medication-assisted treatment coming from the criminal justice system as well. So yeah, we're excited. We think this is going to be a good fit. And again, it's something we're very familiar with because we've been doing this kind of service for men in Clark County Jail and outside of the jail for several years. Are there any questions at all? Yes.
I just want to comment. I'm delighted that this grant will allow us to provide additional services that we haven't been able to provide up to this point. But also, I think it once again speaks to the power of partnerships. The idea that the city and the Mental Health and Recovery Board and a private sector entity are all working together to focus on this issue, I think speaks volumes and speaks to, once again, by moving forward together what we can get done as a community to address some of our issues. So I want to thank you, and I really appreciate everything that's going on to try to help those people of Springfield and Clark County.
So, this impacts all of the inmates in the Clark County, or will this grant work specifically with women? I think I might have missed that.
This one is specifically with women because
Gotcha.
we already have funding in there for
Got
the
you,
men.
got you.
So the programs will mirror.
Got you, thank you. And so just an additional question, will this help inmates who are currently there also receive prescribed medication while they're housed in the county?
So, yes, I can't speak fully to the mental health piece of it until they're out.
Got you.
But there's something going on with mental health services in the jail, so they could already be receiving those. But for those who are interested in a Vivitrol injection, we can start the pill form of that while they're in jail. And we really are looking at opportunity to have our nursing staff go in the jail and possibly just do the injection
Okay.
while they're in jail and not have to worry about that piece when they get out.
And would that be, could this grant cover like med passing? Because I had an opportunity to speak with some of the inmates last spring, and there was a disconnect with receiving medication while they were housed within the facility. So would that support that?
It would not.
Okay.
So it doesn't cover nursing staff in
Got you.
that way.
Got you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else?
And to also thank Sheriff Burchett. So she signed off on the memorandum of understanding as well, because we need her support to be able to work and have space for treatment. So she's graciously worked with us on that and with McKinley Hall to make sure that those women are able to receive the care that they need.
And Greta, I know I've said before, please reach out because this is my wheelhouse. So please also, Ms. Doolittle, if you guys ever need anything, I would love to collaborate because again, this is definitely my wheelhouse and something that I'm passionate about for our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Manager?
Commissioners, just highlight one new item on the agenda for tonight, and that's authorizing to apply for, accept, and enter into a water supply revolving loan account loan agreement with the Ohio EPA and Ohio Water Development Authority to finance a portion of the city's 2023 water service replacement Fountain Avenue project, and authorizing the city manager, director of finance to do all things necessary to implement this said loan application and agreement.
Any questions from Commission on that? Anything else we need to talk about? Till 5 minutes? Is there a motion to adjourn the hearing?
So move.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. O'Neill?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Dr. Estroff?
Yes.
Mr. Copeland?
Yes. Okay, so we have to wait 4 minutes before we can start the commission meeting because they have to start it on the time we set. So feel free to talk and do whatever you want.
Have a Valentine's
Go
Day
to the restroom,
celebration.
whatever.
4 minutes.
Kevin?
Jill, is this
The meeting will come to order. Clerk will call the roll.
Dr. Estrad,
Here?
Mr. O'Neill,
Here.
Ms. Phillips,
Here.
Mr. Rue, Mr. Copeland.
Here. Please rise for invocation and pledge of allegiance. Our God, we're glad that we were able to gather together, make decisions for the community. Help us to make them well and represent the people of Springfield well this evening in your name. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Dr. Estrad,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland.
Yes. Clerk will proceed with first readings by title only.
Authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract for the purchase of sand and gravel with Shelley Materials Incorporated for an amount not to exceed $26,980. Authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract for the purchase of sand and gravel with Enon Sand and Gravel LLC for an amount not to exceed $12,740. Authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract for the purchase of sand and gravel with Mechanicsburg Sand and Gravel Incorporated for an amount not to exceed $174,125. Authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract for the purchase of street materials, Shelley Materials Incorporated, for an amount not to exceed $439,990. Authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract for the purchase of street materials with A&B Asphalt Corporation for an amount not to exceed $538,230. Authorizing the issuance of a purchase order for the purchase of sodium polyphosphate, glassy sodium hexametaphosphate from George S. Coyne Chemical Company Incorporated for an amount not to exceed $78,780.46.
Any questions from the commission? Yes.
Items 044-23 through 048-23 all deal with street material. Obviously, it's getting close to that time of year when we're going to be doing some paving. And this was clearly a commitment that we made when the levy was passed. And I was wondering if Mr. Moore might highlight what we've done in the past, because this is part of a larger commitment we made to the people. And very important, I think, for the people to know we're living up to that commitment.
Sure can, Commissioners. So you can see up on the screen, we show a paving program from 2018 through 2022. In that program, we spent over $11 million on 72 different neighborhood streets all throughout the community. We have another $2+ million worth of work we'll be doing this year. We're finalizing the exact locations of that, but we'll be bringing that here in the coming week. So it's very exciting. I will say this, the stuff we're asking for approval for on this agenda, the asphalt prices are up roughly 25% across the board on the different types. So we have to remember that that same dollar doesn't spread quite as much asphalt as it did in 2018 or even last year.
The commitment of spending a minimum of $2 million a year on our residential streets, the city has more than met that commitment, and at this point, we will continue.
Absolutely, and more than met it is, sometimes an understatement, because there's what everybody sees is that top inch, and everybody wants a nice, smooth, nice driving surface. But in many cases, there's another $2 million spent underneath prior to doing that. That way, we're not digging up the roadway once it's been resurfaced.
That's the gas line, the water lines, the sewer,
Yes.
all of that under the street.
Yep.
Okay, thank you very much.
Anything else from commissioners? Clerk, proceed.
creating a revitalization district and establishing requirements to ensure public health and safety within such area.
So moved.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission? From the audience?
I was wondering if Bobby could, I don't know if you've got this map on a slide, but you don't, okay. Can you sort of describe the boundaries of what we're talking about?
Yes, so at the north, it's just north of the building that Grocery Land is in. So that's just a block north of John Street. To the south, it's going to be Leffels Lane. East, just about to where the Assurant campus is. And to the west, Rado Circle, if you're familiar, kind of where some of the hotels are over there.
And the beauty, the reason we want to do this is we want to encourage,
We're going to be encouraging sit-down restaurant development, like your steakhouses and those types of establishments.
okay, not bars or clubs, but family restaurants that have sit-down food.
Correct. Under Ohio Revised Code, these businesses would not qualify unless 75% of receipts were to come from food sales.
Thank you.
Bobby, I just wanted to say I'm really excited to look down and see East Johnson Avenue boldly presented here. So that is the street that I was born and raised on. So to see that development happening right there, and just to look down, it was a great feeling. So thank you for your work on this.
Thank you. We're really excited about it.
Anyone else? Anyone in the audience want to speak to this matter? Clerk, call the roll.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill?
Yes.
Dr. Estrom?
Yes.
Mr. Copeland?
Yes.
Establishing the 273 bailiff service fee fund within the finance department of the city.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission?
As I recall, this was something requested by the judges. Am I correct?
That's correct, Dr. Estrop. This fee was imposed by the municipal court judges. It is not something that is imposed by this commission.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Anyone else? Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. O'Neill?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Dr. Estrom?
Yes.
Mr. Copeland?
Yes.
Declaring it necessary to require the construction or reconstruction of curbs, gutters, and sidewalks at the points identified as section number 1 of streets and section number 2 of streets of the 2023 Sidewalk Curb and Gutter Program, Phase 1.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission? From the audience? Clerk will call the roll.
Dr. Estrom?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill?
Yes.
Mr. Copeland?
Yes.
Confirming purchases and the obtaining of services for the city and providing for payments therefore and declaring an emergency therein.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission? From the audience? Clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill?
Yes.
Dr. Estrom?
Yes.
Mr. Copeland?
Yes.
Confirming and approving the execution of an extension agreement to the memorandum of agreement by and among Clark Schaefer Hackett and Company, auditor of the state of Ohio and the city of Springfield, Ohio, for fiscal year audit of years 2022 to 2026 of the city of Springfield, Ohio, for an amount not to exceed $373,750 and declaring an emergency therein.
So moved.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission? From the audience? Clerk will call the roll.
Dr. Estrom?
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Copeland?
Yes.
Authorizing the city manager to enter into a purchase agreement for real estate for the purchase of certain real property located at 2116 West Jackson Road from Tamara Sue McEldenny for an amount not to exceed $175,000. Authorizing the city manager, law director, and director of finance to perform all acts and execute all documents they consider necessary to fulfill the city's obligations under said purchase agreement and to comply with all relevant local, state, and federal legal requirements and declaring an emergency therein.
So moved.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission?
Yes, I was just wondering what we were going to do with this property.
Yeah, I'll actually ask Tom Franzen if he'd like to answer that.
The property lies just to the south of runway 6, the primary runway at the airport. So it's contiguous with the city-owned property. So we're buying it really just to clear the land to make it safer for airport operation.
Very good. Thank you.
Anyone else? Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Dr. Estra,
Yes?
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland,
Yes.
authorizing the purchase of one 2023 Ford F-250 Crew Cab truck from Valley Truck Centers for an amount not to exceed $83,370 through the Ohio Department of Administrative Services pursuant to the Ohio's Cooperative Purchasing Act in accordance with the provisions of Section 125.04 of the Ohio Revised Code and declaring an emergency therein.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded.
I take it we could not get the truck we wanted in an international Avatar truck. And secondly, once again, it's too bad we don't have a local Ford dealer to buy this truck and some of the police cruisers we're looking at to buy them through. It's totally unfortunate that we don't have a Ford dealership. But I want to make sure we had no option but to buy a Ford.
Yes, and this specific is the maintenance vehicle for SCAT for the that First Transit utilizes. It replaces a 1990. So there's quite a bit of rust and wear and tear on the current vehicle. So this is definitely a needed purchase and does plowing, but also responds to maintenance calls and requests for our SCAT vehicles.
Very good. Thank you.
Anyone else? Clerk will call the roll.
Phillips,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Dr. Estra,
Yes?
Mr. Copeland,
Yes.
authorizing the city manager and the chief of police to enter into a federal equitable sharing agreement and certification with the United States government, Department of Justice, and Department of Treasury for the period of January 1, 2023 through December 31, 2023, confirming and approving all transactions from January 1, 2023 to the passage of this ordinance and declaring an emergency therein.
So moved.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission? From the audience? Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Dr. Estra,
Yes?
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland,
Yes.
authorizing the purchase of 32 sets of Janesville turnout gear from Phoenix Safety Outfitters for an amount not to exceed $109,600 through Sourcewell pursuant to the Sourcewell Contract Purchasing Cooperative Program in accordance with provisions of Section 9.48 of the Ohio Revised Code and declaring an emergency therein.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission?
I was wondering if someone might tell us what Janesville turnout gear is.
Yeah, I'll have Chief Brian Miller answer that. I do want to comment that what's great about this purchase too is this is a locally based company
Oh, super.
based out of here in Springfield over on Commerce.
Super.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to this. This is the personal protective equipment, the insulated coats and pants that protect our firefighters from the IDLH or immediately dangerous to life and health environments, the heat, smoke that they go into quite often. So again, this is a state cooperative purchasing, so we were able to save considerable dollars and use a local vendor. So it's kind of a good problem to have that we're spending this much money because we're outfitting a whole bunch of new employees, and you know,
Great.
it's nice to be at full strength.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Anyone else? Clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Dr. Estra,
Yes?
Mr. Copeland,
Yes.
authorizing the city manager to enter into an amendment with Tyler Technologies Incorporated, formerly known as New World Systems Corporation, for an amount not to exceed $42,282.56 for the period of April 1, 2023 through June 30, 2023, to maintain computer software used by the city's public safety departments and declaring an emergency therein.
Move to adopt.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission? From the audience? Clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Dr. Estra,
Yes?
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland,
Yes.
Authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Param Electric Incorporated for the High and East Street Traffic Signal Project for an amount not to exceed $129,955 and declaring an emergency therein.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission? From the audience? Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. O'Neill?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Dr. Estrop?
Yes.
Mr. Copeland?
Yes.
Authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Outdoor Enterprise LLC for the CLA Yellow Spring Street Reconstruction Phase 1 project, PID number 109491, for an amount not to exceed $3,520,907.75 and declaring an emergency therein.
So moved.
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission?
I was wondering if you might explain what we're getting for our $3.5 million.
Yeah, I'll ask Chris to speak to that. And Chris, if you could also add just some of the timing issues and delays that we may see just because of supply.
So this is phase 1 of the Yellow Spring Street reconstruction. This will start at Columbia Street and go south on Yellow Springs to Pleasant. The northernmost portions will just be a shave and pave resurfacing, but then from around Main Street up to Pleasant will be a full reconstruction. That's new curb and gutter, new water lines, new drains, a little bit of everything. It'll be it'll be similar to what we most recently saw on McCrite Avenue, where the entire road was dug up and rebuilt from the bottom up. So the project is slated to start as soon as we can get a contract approved and paperwork in their hands. However, right now we are seeing about 50-week lead time on water line, 50 weeks.
Huh. Wow.
So we're trying to work with the contractor to adjust the construction phasing to get as much work as possible done around the water line work that has to happen. So I may be coming back, with asking for an extension of the completion date and with an update on how the materials are coming along.
There's just that much work out there, Chris? Contractors are overloaded, or are there logistical issues associated with them getting materials, or combination of the two, or what's going on?
We hear it both ways. Supply is through the roof because there's so much infrastructure money. There's so much focus on clean, safe drinking water. And there's a demand issue, but then there's a supply issue on the materials. Some of the areas where we see it are just in the brass fittings, where we can get everything we need except a couple little brass fittings to complete something. So we're trying to help the contractors, look at alternative specifications or find ways we can, maybe phase the project to keep things moving on this and all of our projects.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. O'Neill?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Dr. Estrop?
Yes.
Mr. Copeland?
Yes.
Authorizing the city manager to apply for, accept, and enter into a water supply revolving loan account agreement with the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency and Ohio Water Development Authority to finance a portion of the city's 2023 water service replacement Fountain Avenue project, authorizing the city manager and the director of finance to do all things necessary to implement said loan application and agreement and to comply with all relevant local, state, and federal legal requirements and declaring it an emergency therein.
So moved.
Been moved and seconded.
I was wondering, Mr. Heck, if you might give us a little more specific information about what this project is all about.
Yeah, I actually will ask Chris Moore again. I said at the beginning
Chris
this
Moore
was going to be
show.
the Chris Moore show. So,
I've been
Chris?
giggling about that the whole time.
So this project is to replace either known lead or suspected to be lead water services from the main clear into the house on South Fountain from Monroe Street all the way down to John Street. So there are roughly 170 water services in that area we would be replacing. This is, this will be our first venture where we will be working with the contractor and the property owner to replace it all the way into the house. As we get a little deeper into the details, I will come here with a work session so everybody understands what to expect, because that's a different world for us. We usually stop somewhere around the back of the curb. In order to make sure it's a full lead removal, we will be going clear into the house. Because we're taking this project on in the way we are, we have what I will call very favorable financing. Some is zero interest and some is principal forgiveness. This project was slated anyway, so this being able to secure this money is a big deal.
This is a substantial public health issue. Lead pipe associated with a water line. That's a pretty lethal combination. So I'm delighted to see the city taking this on, and delighted to see that we're getting some help financially.
And I hope that by taking on a project of this scale the way we are, it will line us up. There's a lot of money out there for this, and we want to demonstrate that we're capable of tackling a big project, go back for more. I think it's always important when we talk about lead water lines to remind our citizens that thankfully in Springfield, we are under all lead action levels. We are in more than compliant with all the testing that is required. Yes, there are lead water services going to people's houses, but as a community, we do not have lead problems with our water. It is tested very often.
Thank you.
I was just going to add on to Commissioners. This is just another example from what we talked about earlier with our paving program. South Fountain is a roadway that we are looking and trying to figure out ways to get paved as well. And so a project like this is something we want to address and get done before we would invest in paving. So we are working towards it. Hopefully this is a couple year process of dealing with the utilities, but then also leading to the effort to actually pave South Fountain.
Good. Thank you.
Else? Call the roll.
Mr. O'Neill?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Dr. Estrad?
Yes.
Mr. Copeland?
Yes. I believe that ends our agenda. Other items that come before us from commissioners. Anyone in the audience want to speak to us?
Old Frost, 3043 Orange Gate Road, 45503. I have just a slight presentation I wanted to present, but it has nothing to do with your meeting. So I can wait till after the meeting if you'd rather, or I could do it now.
Why don't we wait till after the,
It's fine, it's fine. Thank
anyone else? You young folks up there, how come you came to the city commission meeting? Boy
Oh,
Scouts?
nice.
You get a badge for this?
Nice. Thank you for
We appreciate
coming.
your comment.
Thank you.
You actually picked a
We'll
good
chat
night.
shortly.
Because this meeting has been shorter than we've been used to, which is, you didn't want to sit through too much more, right?
I think they look like they're ready for another hour or so. Yeah, sure.
Anyone else? Anyone in the audience? Okay, we're all yours.
Want to
We're
adjourn?
going to adjourn the meeting.
Oh, you want to adjourn the meeting?
Mhm.
I move we adjourn the commission meeting.
Second.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. O'Neill?
Yes.
Ms.